What's up? How you doing, Marcus?
Welcome to Freestructor Radio.
Thank you very much. Thank you for having me.
Work out with the client, Arian.
We're now in talks. Yeah, absolutely.
Fantastic, man. Fantastic. So, have you been at the gym while receiving the call or?
Yeah, exactly. So I was working out, got a phone call, so I take it. It sometimes happens that I take phone calls in the gym. If it comes, it comes, and I usually take it because it's fine.
Great. So you pretty much work out every day, right?
I work out 5 to 6 times a week. Yeah.
Okay, cool. So I guess Hinam is playing a part there as well, right?
Absolutely. Kinam is a big inspiration in terms of sports and all that. It's like, yeah, he basically made me be more consistent. I've been working out for a long time, for like 2 or 3 years, but Kinam has a lot of knowledge, like in-depth knowledge about it, and he's constantly sharing that with me. So therefore, I'm now doing a push-pull legs split, and it's awesome. It's amazing.
Yeah. So beautiful. I'm very happy that it worked out with the interview, man. So why don't we start at the beginning, Arian,
Sure.
with Avone Media. So Avone Media is the company you founded together with Hinam, right?
Right, exactly.
And what was, the driving force behind that? I mean, we can say that you both are very passionate about social media, I think. This is what I know from Kinam and also what I see in yourself. You're very skilled in that. And was this the initial, push for the project of Avone Media, or is there more behind it?
So actually, that's a good question. So it didn't come from us, but I was more successful on social media in the past 4 years, and I had an Instagram account with over 300,000 followers. And over the time, companies that advertised with me approached me, and they're like, "You're creating amazing content. Is there any way that you can create this kind of content for us, for the brands?" So out of the demand of the customers, I basically started serving them together with Kinam, and that's how the company got started. Yeah.
Awesome. And I guess there was also part where, you sat down and just methodically analyzed the market and made a business plan, because you just can't jump into it. I think knowing you and the fact that you also studied international business, I think so there must be also a foundation there, I guess, right?
Well, to be fully honest with you, I think that's not always the right approach. Like if you want to do something, just go at it and then figure out the rest later. Like I feel like sometimes people get caught up in doing things like a business plan, like analyzing the market. Like if you just go full speed at it, you'll find out very quickly if there's a market demand for it or not. And the fact that market demand was given, and that's how the company got created, showed me that there was demand. And all the things like financial plan and everything that came later. So we did that later down the road. But it was actually not what we started with. We started with customer demand, customer feedback. We simply did instead of talking. I'm a big opponent of like people talking, people analyzing, and people not getting started. So that's what we did. We just got started, and then we did the math afterwards.
Yeah, but you could say it was originally born from your affinity to social media, because there has to be some sort of passion or drive to really make this a business, I think. And what I really want to salute you for is the way you use the social media, because when I was growing up, the adults around me were always pointing towards the potential dangers and also how it could stupefy the children. And what I see in yourself, in Kinam, and many other influencers, it's actually a huge trend, I think, is that social media is now used to empower and to educate. And this is what I think you are doing on a daily basis. So I want to salute you for that. And yeah, what do you think about that?
Well, thank you. I really appreciate you for that feedback. And to be fully honest with you, I totally agree with your parents saying that people get stupefied basically through social media, because what I don't like being compared with influencers. I see myself as an entrepreneur that uses social media in order to distribute his voice and opinion, but I'm surely not an influencer, and I would never really identify myself as one. I consider every human being an influencer, because we can influence within our circle of influence, right? So I can influence my mother, father, or whoever it is. That to me is being an influencer. But the common definition, which now got created in this ecosystem and this meta of social media, is that you're an influencer on social media being giving a certain reach. But being fully honest with you, there are people that have a big influence, but they don't have a strong influence, meaning they might have a lot of followers, which they gain through bots or whatever, or just being in the game for a long time. Doesn't mean that they have a strong influence. Like, I see so many influencers, and we work with influencers as we are in this industry, right? And I see so many influencers advertising products and whatever, and nobody's actually buying it anymore, because one, there's inflation of influencers. Everybody and their mothers are nowadays influencers, because like it's so easy, and like it's overpopulated. There are so many ways to grow, and Instagram has been around for such a long time. So each follower is not worth as much anymore as it was back in the days, because there were only such few like influencers, right? And now it's like everybody's like advertising for every single company, because influencer marketing got such a big thing, whereas people actually stopped having a proper voice and a proper message which you're getting out. I feel like I totally agree with social media stupefying people on one hand. On the other hand, we have amazing individuals like Jay Shetty, Lewis House, Gerard Adams, Gary Vaynerchuk, and all those people, Prince EA. They're actually putting out proper good content. Dan Locke, another one, that are actually putting out good content, that's actually motivating people. But I think the whole entrepreneur world is now beyond the point of just motivation, because motivation is really like, if you don't have motivation in this game, like, you're out. And I feel like entrepreneurship through social media got to this thing where it got put on a pedestal, like people glorify it, and we have people talking about entrepreneurship, but we don't have real entrepreneurs anymore, which is quite interesting. So yeah, that was like a bigger take, but like that's my whole opinion about this whole influence social media kind of thing.
Very interesting. Very interesting, your take. So I think at the end of the day, it's the human being again that is important. It's the energy that is being radiated out that is attractive to people, because like you say, there are bots and what have you, but at the end of the day, you cannot fake something that is authentic. And this is something that I see in yourself as well as Kinam and many others. And I appreciate that you mentioned Lewis House, because I got a quote by him that inspired me really to do what I do, which is also, personal training. And that quote goes like this: people don't care about how much you know, but how much you care.
That's a good one.
So this basically encourages me on a daily basis to say, man, I can expand in so many areas. You see, you don't have to be the best. You don't have to know everything, but it's ultimately the momentum that you carry with yourself that will draw the attention to you, and that will make people interested in your person, I think.
Right. No, I totally agree. And there is also one more component. I think it's like obviously caring about people, not necessarily the knowledge, but it's also the depth. Like, there are people that have no depth, and then there are people like Lewis Howes. They went through a lot. They have something to talk about, and I feel like there are people out there nowadays that you listen to, but they don't have any depth. They can't talk about anything. They haven't done anything. They haven't been to countries. They haven't been working in different fields. They haven't been networking with amazing individuals. They haven't started their own business, but they talk about it, And it's like, I think that compared with caring about people, like having something that you can actually talk about, and then caring about other people, I think that's where the magic of social media can really come in. But unfortunately, there are only such few people, which also means it's a challenge for you. If you make the research and you find those individuals that do care and that does have that do have the depth, you can truly shortcut a lot of knowledge in today's society.
True. You know, in the preparation for this interview, I sort of had the frame and different questions. But since we now take this approach, and it's perfectly okay because I want to, free flow here with you and just do some brainstorming and let it just roll. What is your personal motivation, Arian? What is your why? Why do you go up in the morning? What is your why? Why are you doing the things you do?
I think it's very interesting. People always ask me for my passion and my why, and I think it's like such trendy words that people use. In full honesty and transparency, I don't know what my full why is. Like, I don't know what it is yet, and I'm eager to find out, and I'm on a journey, and I'm embracing it. I feel like people are supposed to have figured out what their passion is and what their why is by the age of 20, 22, for sometimes even like with 16. And I fully disagree with that. I think it's a journey to find out. What's currently motivating me is definitely my mother. That's something I talk about a lot, but my mother and I went through a lot of struggles living in bad areas, bad neighborhoods, and she truly sacrificed a lot for me. So for me, it's a big goal in my life to give back to her. Not that I think it's a duty of mine. I think that parents are supposed to make themselves happy. Yes, I 100% agree with that. I wouldn't want my children one day to like have their life mission to be to make me happy. But still, it's just a thing for me. Like, my mom was there for me through very tough times, and I saw her sacrifice a lot, as I said. So therefore, I would say currently that's my why. But I one day met Saigin Yalcin, who's a billionaire. He found a company, sellanycar.com, which he sold for over $1 billion to Amazon. And I remember him saying something to me, and he was like, "Then what?" And I was like, yeah, I want to pay out my mom one day, right? But then what? And I didn't know what to say. Like, I didn't know what comes after. Like, I always say I want to be a millionaire by the age of 23. And then he goes, and then what? And see this, and then what? I haven't figured out yet. And I think that's something to embrace and something to find out. For Saigin, for example, a billionaire, it was to find a cure for his sick sister. She's ill, and his why is to basically invest a lot of money in research so that she can get healthy one day. So that's a very strong why, and I very admire that. And for me right now, my why is to help out my mother, but I know that's not a life mission because I can accomplish this goal within the next 2 to 5 years. So yeah, I really think also for people listening right now, like, you don't have to know your why. You don't have to know what your passion is, but you have to stay curious onto finding out what it is. Because as long as you stay curious, you don't lose momentum. That's when you keep on going.
Awesome. I think also, we have the saying in German, der Weg ist das Ziel, which means that, the process is where you discover everything. The process is where you will flourish. The process is what it's actually all about, and who you are becoming is eventually all that matters. So It was very interesting to observe, how you guys have built up Avone Media. Last year, I met Kinam for the first time in Heidelberg, and through him, I got to know you, and it's so cool to see that you both are doing this together. I think it's a great remix of energy, so to speak. And how long has it been since the foundation now of Avone Media? Is it half a year or how long?
Yeah. And let me quickly add up something to what you just said, because I thought it was very beautiful about embracing the path. Jakob Mehring, you might know him a bit, one of the biggest real estate moguls here in Germany. I was sitting at an Italian restaurant with him, and he once taught me a sentence, and it goes, "It's all about the getting and not about the having," which is like basically summarizing what you just said. It's all about the getting. It's all about like the journey, about the embracing the right now, and not about the having. He said, once I have something, it bores me. Like, there is nothing to it. It's about improving yourself, bettering yourself. Of course, yeah, there should be a destination one day. Maybe that's family, maybe that's legacy for you. But until then, it's really about the getting and not about the having. On the other part, on the other question you asked, Vo Media is now in business for 7 months now. I have been running this business on my own before Keenum was there. And I was working with freelancers. That was over the course of, I think, 1 year. I started the company as I was doing my bachelor thesis on a topic of influencer marketing. And I was working with freelancers when I was living in New York and London and Germany. But then in January, December of this year, well, December of last year, Keenum and I came together here in Berlin, Germany, to start this together, to restart and to actually build a foundation, a team here in Berlin Kreuzberg, which means we're not working with freelancers, but we have a real team that's coming together, growing, communicating, and just being a part of each other.
How big is your staff right now? You mentioned that you're working with a lot of freelancers, but I also think with employees, with real employees, right?
Yeah. No, so we worked with freelancers in the past. Now that's not the case anymore. We still have them, but we have 5 people that are, so it's Keenum and I, and then we have 5 more people coming into the office every single day. Nina, Max, Jakob, Jonas, Maxim, amazing people. They're all doing videography, photography, motion graphic design, all those things. And then we also have 2 people which are working for us contractual in the field of sales. So we have 2 salespeople that are working contractual, and then 5 people that come in every single day as employees.
Sounds like an already working structure there. Nice. So when I'm going to your website and checking for core competences, in a sense, what can I get from you? There was an interesting phrase there, which is create a trend-conscious brand and generate a significant reach of loyal customers. So in German, it's trendbewusste Markenbekanntheit. Can you elaborate on that and explain what do you mean by create a trend-conscious brand?
See, so with brands we work with, right? So we have a lot of brands that are like, how should I put this? Companies in general are very undynamic. Once they reach a certain size, they get stiff, they get undynamic, they don't go with trends anymore. One of the biggest examples is Blockbuster. I don't know if you know the story about Blockbuster, but like it was a store where you could go into and rent out movies, DVDs, right? And then came Netflix, and they grew to a certain size. I don't know, Blockbuster had an offer to buy Netflix. I don't know what it was at, but like it was a very low $1 million valuation, and they said no. But what happened here is Netflix grew bigger and bigger, and now you might say, who the fuck is Blockbuster? Like nobody knows that company anymore. And it's because that company, Blockbuster, didn't reinvent themselves. And I think one of the best ways to reinvent yourself is, for example, to simply go with the trends on social media. Like we talk to companies like Sparkasse or Coburg that are making millions and billions in revenues, but they're just like so stagnant, they're just so slow. And by the way of implementing social media, you show your employees, you show your customer base, you show all the stakeholders involved that you're a dynamic company, that you're not dying down with the time, but you're actually going with trends to a certain extent, of course. Like I'm not saying follow every trend and everything, but like social media is changing on a daily basis, algorithms are changing on a daily basis, and we support companies and personal brands to basically stay on top of that. That's what we mean by that statement.
Interesting. I mean, after all, companies like Sparkasse, we are in a society, and a society is made up out of individuals, and these individuals are growing up, of course. The whole society is changing. Social media has become very big. The impact has been very great. So it's good to get rid of the layer of dust, so to speak, at these companies, and present themselves more dynamic. And also what I'm hearing here is that you help them to identify themselves, which means the question, who are we, who am I, is probably the most important question to get into the mindset or to get into the spirit, the CI of the company, to really get what they need. Is that correct?
Excuse me, could you repeat the last part of the question? I didn't quite get that.
Yeah. So I think part of your work, a very important part of your work is that you get into the mindset of the company and really see what the company needs and use your channels that you have available to make that public and to
Oh yeah, of
to
course.
convey that, right?
Yeah, of course. Like with every company you work with, it should never be about you and what you offer and serve. It's about what the customer needs, and you have to figure out, can you find a solution to that issue that company has? If yes, you should work together and you should charge good money for it. If no, get the hell out of there because you're not a good fit, right? But absolutely, a big part of working with companies is to truly understand them, and in the next step, see how social media can elongate that personality but not change it, maybe shift it slightly a tad bit to make them more modern, to make them more a part of today's culture and society. But we would never go ahead and like fully change a brand that has been established over years. It's more about embracing who they are in a more modern way.
I see. Yeah, and that requires, I think, a lot of sensitivity and insight. Insight is really the word to get what the company is all about.
Absolutely, absolutely. It's a lot of talking before we start any project. It's finding out about the customer, and it's all about listening. If you're in business in general, remember that it's all about listening. It's not about talking. It's about listening. You should be listening 80% of the time with every conversation you have with customers. You should listen to their feedback, to their needs, to their goals. Also in the sales process, it's the same thing. You don't want to be talking all the time. You want to be listening, because that's when you actually start understanding your customer, start understanding what they want and need. And that's actually when I think business gets very successful.
Yeah, I want to repeat what you just said, Arian, because I think it's, this is monumental importance here. Listening is so important, not just in the business world, but also in the private sector. You will transform all of your relationships, business-wise or in the private sector, if you shift towards more listening. Like you say, 80% listening. Actually, it's from the book How to Win Friends, I think, from Dale Carnegie. And he said that people who listen a lot are considered to be very intelligent, even though you might not have said a lot, but retrospectively, the person, your conversational partner, will remember you as being very intelligent.
See, there you go.
So full circle. And when we go like to a practical example here, because I checked out some of your clients, for example, Boom Boom. When I go to Boom Boom, for example, to their Instagram page, and I check their stories, is that something you do for your client? So you guys there, your team, are doing the design, the story for Boom Boom?
Exactly. Yeah, so we do Instagram stories for some clients. We generate a whole feed, an Instagram feed for other clients. We produce videos, photographies for other clients. It's always different, but yeah, with Boom Boom in specific, we do motion graphics, motion design, which is Instagram stories to take your brand on the next level, because there's so much being put out every single day. And if you want to stay on top of that as a company that's growing as fast as Boom Boom, you have to do that. Like, you have to be there on a daily basis, and you have to impress on a daily basis with high quality content. And so, yeah, that's in that case is Instagram stories. For other clients, we generate Instagram feeds. As said, videography, photography, design work, all of that is included in what we do.
Wow. I mean, that alone poses such a great potential. Do you think that Instagram stories is already, let's not call it saturated, but is it now peaking, or will it continue to grow from your perspective?
I think social media in general will continue to grow. I think we'll have more and more of an inflation of influencers, which I consider very unlucky, because like there are people getting how should I put this? There, as we said earlier, there's a stupidification, however you want to call it, of people, and with a raising amount of influencers, we have a raising amount of people that get a voice which is good. I think everybody should have a voice, but there are people that set examples in the wrong way. They're not themselves established enough, have not got enough depth, or not enough of a character to basically lead others in a way they should. And that's when they start portraying themselves as a different human being. I'm not saying there's anything wrong with putting yourself out there and like teaching people, right? But what a lot of influencers do is they go on social media and they realize, okay, I'm not that far yet. I haven't done that much. So they start putting on a personality, a mask, which is not themselves. And that's when I think being an influencer gets really disgusting, because people start preaching things they have no clue about. And that's when I think it gets really, really horrible. So with influence, I think you have to be very cautious on one hand. On another hand, I think influencers are getting more and more aware of the market. Like in the past, you could get influencers very cheap for cheap money, as influencers weren't really a thing, right? So you would offer them free stuff and they would work with you. Now they're getting more conscious, which is good, because they're being aware of their value, which means they start demanding higher prices. But then on the other side, there's an inflation of influencers, which means you have more competition. So I think there's a whole lot of dynamic going in that whole influencer space with social media in general. I think it is absolutely the way to go for companies. If a company is not on social media yet, they're still sleeping out. It's horrible, because it basically gives your company the opportunity to show a way more authentic side of what you do, you're way closer to your customers. If you do media work like in television, there's a distance. There's such a distance between you and the company. Whereas, let's say you're sitting on a sofa that's like 3 feet away from your television, but now you have your phone in your hand. Even like the literal distance is closer. That phone is closer to you, and so is the content, because it's more wrapped around in the content you see from your friends, so it's more natural. So it absolutely makes sense, yeah. But for everybody using social media, be cautious, like who you're following, who you're listening to, and if there's a lot of depth in what you hear from people.
How much of that knowledge you just shared with us is based on experience, and how much have you gained through reading? I think reading is hard, because when you find some literature, it's already, not up to speed or not up to date, like 1 or 2 years, and then it's out of date. So how much is based on experience? How much is based on seminars, going to different workshops, seminars, learning from others, and how much is just from plain testing, and trial and error?
Do you mean like everything in general? Like everything I say in general?
Specifically about Instagram stories, and how you basically present your clients, what you do for your clients. Because I think it's probably one of the most dynamic things out there in terms of business or industry to be in.
I would say maybe it's like 1% like reading up, going to seminars, 99% execution, being fully honest with you. Because like, you might know everything about social media, as long as you've never applied it, you've never done social media, and you have no clue if it works or not. You're assuming, but you don't know. Like, yes, the content that the knowledge that you hear is the knowledge that your brain, but it's extremely invaluable. Like, I think having knowledge in your brain just sitting around is the biggest waste of mental real estate there is. Only if you're able to apply something, it starts getting valuable. And that's why I would always say the majority of where the knowledge actually comes from is execution. I don't know if it's necessarily 1%, 99%, but like it might be 20-80, it might be 70-30. But in my personal opinion, execution is way more important than like hearing about something or reading up about something.
Great. That is Bruce Lee talking straight out of you. He said that knowing is not enough, we must apply. So yeah, that's it. Yeah. So by 2023, Avona Media will be the largest social media agency in Europe. Did I get that right, Arian?
Yes, sir.
Nice. So that's 5 years, 4.5 years.
Mm-hmm.
How is the process going so far? Are you satisfied with it?
Absolutely. I couldn't be more satisfied. Everything's going super well. We're growing super fast. We're having so many learnings, and we have such a strong team. So, yeah, absolutely.
So let's play the game. Imagine it's August 3rd, 2023.
Mm.
Now, paint a picture for us. How would how would your day look like? What would you be doing during the day? How would you get up? Where would you be? Would you be still in Berlin? What would be your location, etc.?
I'll wake up in New York, somewhere above Central Park with a view over it. And Evolve Media will be a fully running company that has several offices in Europe and surely one in New York. It's running extremely successful. My day would look like I'm waking up whenever I want. I will go to the gym. I'll do some meditation. I'll come home and hopefully have a beautiful girlfriend on my side. Have some great breakfast with that significant other. Go to work. Be extremely inspirational, as I like putting my work where my mouth is, just to basically walk the talk, so to say. I like constantly being a role model. But my business activities are quite different from what most people do. My business activities is more of handshakes, podcasts, talks on the phone, things we do now. To give you a bit of background information, Keenum is doing a lot of existing business, which means he is indeed like the manager of all our employees, of our team. He works very closely with them. I'm responsible for new business, meaning getting in new clients, making those kind of things happen. Both extremely important roles, equally important. So yeah, that's what I do. Then I hopefully come out home early because I don't want to be working late for the rest of my life. I want to put in that grind for sure. But what makes me truly happy is just to be on the couch, watch some Netflix with my significant other, and just have cuddles. To be honest, that's what makes me happy.
Really? I mean,
Yeah.
hold on. I mean, we have to repeat this. I mean, what makes you happy is being on a couch and watching Netflix. Did I get that right?
Yeah, with my significant other. Yeah, 100%.
Okay, cool. So, for example, now this is something, I mean, we never met in person, but this is something I would never assume, just from how you present yourself so far.
See, there is the way I'm presenting myself is the way to get where I want to be. Right now, for me, it's not the right time to sit on a sofa and watch Netflix. I don't do that stuff. I do it very occasionally if I need it, and I take very, very strategic pauses if I need them. But right now, the pause I take is more so going to a sauna in order to be mindful and like be very thinking. I will not talk to other people when I go to the sauna and just think. That's a break, the kind of break that I'm doing right now. I do this because I know that in the future I will be able to watch Netflix on a sofa every single day of my damn life if I want to. But right now I have to sacrifice because it's all about the long-term game, not the short-term game. So if I truly want to see, okay, I have to be more specific. My goal is not to sit on a sofa, watch Netflix with my significant other, but my goal is to sit on a sofa, watch Netflix with my significant other without having to do anything I don't want to do. Okay? So yes, I could do the same thing now, but if I do it now, I wouldn't be free because I have to do other things. So that doesn't let me enjoy what I would like to do, So Dan Locke had a great definition of freedom, and he says freedom is not having to do things you don't want to do. And that's where I want to get. I want to have freedom, which means I want to do what I want, and I don't want to do things I don't want to do. And as I'm doing that, it would be great to sit on a sofa with my significant other, just cuddle with her and like have a good time.
Tremendous. I think I really like the expression of you saying I have to free myself from that. I heard that a lot from artists as well, because they say there is something inside of me that prevents me from feeling good drinking a glass of wine, from feeling good watching Netflix. So I first have to do this. I have to achieve something. And when it's out there, when I penetrate the world with my gift, so to speak, then I can, chill, watch Netflix with my other half and stuff like that. So it's and nobody's saying that these things are not good. it's just neutral. I mean, very successful people also, they play PlayStation, whatever, or everybody has their own rituals. At the end of the day, it's all about the results, and that you basically move ahead with your plan and what it is that what you want, right?
See, Marcus, let me share something with you, because I do a lot of mentorship and coaching with young entrepreneurs, right? I'm young myself, but I think I've figured out some things as I've worked with some mentors. I've shortcutted a lot of knowledge and time in my life. I might be 22 years old on the paper, but I'm 28, 29 in real life. So the thing is, I see a lot of young entrepreneurs, they start judging themselves because they do exactly what you just said. They start watching Netflix, play PlayStation, all those things. But here's the deal. Doing that is 100% fine. It doesn't mean that you will not get to your goal. It's 100% fine. The question is, do you plan ahead and say, all right, today's Friday, tomorrow on Saturday, I will take out 1 hour to play PlayStation? Or are you saying, tomorrow I'll hustle 24 hours, I'll not play any PlayStation, but you still end up playing PlayStation, even if it's only half an hour? What happens now is you start judging yourself for it. Because why? Because you didn't plan it. And if you don't plan it, you start judging yourself for it. And that's when you get in a negative energy spiral, because you do things that you didn't plan. Your deeds, your walk is not where your talk is, and it's the other way around. You just talk to talk, but you don't walk to walk. And that's when it gets very frustrating, because there is a disconnection between your deeds and your vision, your plans. Right? So if you need to play PlayStation in order to get successful, because yes, there are people that just need that because that's their inner child. I have a coach and therapist here in Berlin that I talk to once or twice per month, and she says sometimes you have to live out your inner child, and that's completely fine. On fucking Instagram, everybody, they're people not even being entrepreneurs, but they're making it out as if they're hustling 24/7, because all they're posting on Instagram is hustling, and if that's really what you're doing, that's fine. I have days like that. I have days where I don't post anything because I'm working so much, but there are days like that. But then there are people that are making it out as if they're hustling 24/7. Now people got on Instagram, they think, oh wow, like that's entrepreneurship. You have to hustle 24/7. That's the one perception. Or the other perception is you don't have to work at all. All you do with being an entrepreneur is driving Rolls Royces and Bentley. That's both not entrepreneurship. You have to figure out what's good for yourself. Do you need time out? Do you need to play basketball in the evenings? Do you need to play some PlayStation? Do you need some time out? Do you need to be goofy and childish? That's 100% fine. If you need that, fucking embrace it. But don't make it out as if you can only get successful being an entrepreneur, hustling 24/7, only because some wannabe entrepreneurs on Instagram do that nowadays, because that's just fucking silly.
Beautiful, beautiful. I think you just hit the nail on the head, man. Really great. So sometimes people think that also they should be doing something. And what I always tell people is, what is good for you. I don't care how deep it is within you, how deep you dug your passion or your essence, your mission within you. Deep inside, that now should be the time to stop playing PlayStation and go on the PC, or just make that phone call or whatever you have to do. And people are not listening anymore. And some people have even this voice that they have, this gut feeling. It's so from the whole stimuli and stuff, it's so they cannot hear it basically anymore. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm. No, I 100% agree. And see, even I'm guilty of that myself sometimes, because I talked to my coach literally 2 weeks ago, and we just had that topic. She says, Arian, you always have to see if your actions align with your visions, right? And if you do something that is not aligning with your vision, you lie to yourself. So observe yourself, be woke, be observant in life. Observe yourself. Are you lying to yourself right now? Or are you something that lets your actions align with your visions? Okay? So it's very simple. Just look at yourself and be brutally honest with yourself. Does this get me forward, or does this not get me forward? Am I playing PlayStation because I need it right now in order to focus afterwards, right? Because I need to lose a little bit of tension, or am I playing PlayStation because I'm procrastinating? So it's simply just being honest with yourself. And I think you've said it beautifully, Marcus. It's just about like, you know yourself if you're bullshitting or not.
Yeah, and when you're in that state, I mean, do you know the book Deep Work?
I don't know. Nope.
It's a book that a good friend of mine recommended me just recently. The essential message of the book is that many great geniuses from the past and people we consider to be successful went into a mode of deep work, of deep focus and concentration by completely erasing every distractions. And the author of the book makes the point that in today's world, the biggest challenge is the social media thing, because there's, I think we are in a time where there's 101 ways of distraction, and
Right.
being isolated isn't something negative. You can isolate yourself and really hustle, grind, whatever. And this is the point that the author makes in the book Deep Work. So I was just reminded of that.
I really like that concept. I really like what you're hearing. I think it's not that easy to just simply say, all right, erase all noise and just focus on your hustle, because I've been doing that from December to March. And what I figured out for myself is, yeah, you might be hustling, right? But yet again, I need a balance. I need to take some time off so that I can leverage my next move and make it more impactful. When I went to the gym in the mornings, when I did my meditation, when I took time for myself, I have so much clarity throughout the day that my next step will be so much more thought out, that it will be way more impactful, you know? And even with social media, yes, it's a big distraction, but if used the right way, it's also a big benefit. You know, I can use my social media to do HR, to find new people working for our company, to people that are helping me out with things. You help me out through this podcast to spread my voice, you know? And that's only because I constantly put out things on social media. Otherwise, you would have never heard of me. So it's a fine struggle. It's a fine line between using it to your advantage and using it to avoid letting yourself go into that deep work stage. And I think there is a beauty in both of it, and you need a good balance. That's what it's about in life. It's not about hustling 24/7, getting to that deep work, erasing all the noise. There are times when you do that, and then there are times when you get out of that and you leverage and you get clarity and you get rest and you recharge, you know? And that's totally fine. I think there's magic in both of it.
I want to pick up on two words here. The first word being clarity. I think clarity is the way to go. And the second one is meditation. So they go hand in hand. I'm very pleased to hear that from you, that you actually meditate, because I practice meditation too on a daily basis, and it makes a huge freaking difference, man. It makes a huge freaking difference. And actually, I recommend my clients to do it as well each time they enter their home. Because oftentimes we're in such a rush that there's so many things on our to-do list. We cannot basically make a cut or separate, or the structure is being broken. So people go to their home and they continue just as outside in the world, you know, making their purchases and stuff. And what I recommend is just sit down quiet for even 2 minutes, and then clarity will slowly start to kick in. And all your other tasks, duties will be more smooth, and you will have the clarity. So that's 100% hit, man. Absolutely, I think. Yeah, beautiful.
I like that. Yeah, I'm not the best with meditation. I'll be fully honest with you. I've been on and off and on and off, but I see that every time I'm on, it's when I gain more clarity, as we just said, and it's definitely a thing. I admire people that are very experienced and advanced in meditation. That's why I'm constantly trying to get more into it. Actually, so there is a funny thing. We always have weekly goals in our company, right? We have a weekly meeting every Monday, and my goal was this week to do a certain amount of meditation. So that's why I'm actually very, very aware of that right now.
And how long do you do it then? Like 5 minutes, 10 minutes?
So I'm currently doing a guided meditation by Dan Locke, which is 15 minutes, and it's a meditation about gratitude. Right now I'm using that a lot. I really like that, and it really grounds me. Like if you feel gratitude, you completely are able to set aside your ego, and coming back to the topic of clarity, you understand that everything in life is not given, and you start appreciating the small things, and then you get even more hungry to achieve the bigger things. So that's what I'm doing right now, 15-minute gratitude meditation.
Awesome. And inspiring at the same time, man.
Thanks.
Are you up for a little game here, Arian?
Sure, always. Go ahead. What are we playing? Blackjack, poker, Counter-Strike, Call of Duty? Let me know.
Well, I think that would be the first time ever somebody would play poker here in a podcast. But no, it's very simple. True or false? I got 3 statements here. 3, let's say, statements that I came across recently. And just, tell me, do you think it is true or false, and why?
Okay.
So let's start with the first one. A good businessman is always a good psychologist.
Wrong, because you said the word. I'm very fine with when it comes to words, but you said is always a good psychologist. And psychology is about analyzing. I don't think that a businessman always needs to analyze, but they sometimes need to go with a gut feeling. Oops, there's some background noise. I apologize for that. I think that sometimes a good businessman has to have very good gut feeling. When it comes to human interaction, yes, you have to be a good psychologist, but sometimes you start over analyzing people and things, and that's when I think the magic doesn't happen.
Say that again, please. You mean when you are starting to overanalyze, then the magic won't happen, or?
Yep.
Okay, I see. Very interesting. So when you think too much, then you will basically destroy the natural processes from unfolding. Could you say that? Say it like that?
Yeah, exactly. Because I think there's a kind of a flow, right? So psychology, by definition, because I just Googled it, right, in full transparency, is the scientific study of the human mind and its functions, especially those affecting behavior in given context, which means it's really about understanding the human mind. But sometimes actions are very, how do I put this? It's a flow, and a flow can get created by simply just listening to your feelings. Subconsciously, yes, it's psychology, but I just don't like the statement of always have to be a psychologist, Sometimes it's just gut feeling. Sometimes it's just like going for a moment, going for the right decision. And sometimes maybe also like the opposite of what a psychologist might have told you.
Interesting. So let's go to number 2. Clothes make the man.
Oh, wrong. That's bullshit. No,
Really?
I 100% do not agree with that. Your values make a man or a woman. Yeah, your deeds make a man or a woman. Do your deeds align with your values? That makes you as a man or a woman. Your clothes are an elongation of your personality. That's what clothes are to me. They're an expression of who you are, what you do, but they never make you. You make your clothing. If I wear a suit, I make that suit. That suit doesn't make me. If I wear streetwear clothing and go up to a client, they will still admire and respect me because I have values and I act with those values. Simple as that.
And could you also say that it's to accentuate your persona or who you are?
Exactly. It's an elongation of your personality. Absolutely. It's a form of self-expression, but it doesn't define you.
All right. So let's go to number 3. Goals before girls.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah.
So that's true.
Chase money, not B word.
From 3 points, the last one is true. Goals before girls. I like that.
Yeah, no, but like, see what I like. I can only say true or false, but I would say goals with a girl, like goals with your girl. I think that's the perfect way to put it. I have a significant other, and I wouldn't wish for her to not be in my life. She knows when work comes first, and sometimes she comes first. It's all about prioritizing. Usually work comes first, and she knows that. I am that way, and that's probably the way that I got into a relationship. But as the longer I was in a relationship, the more I had to understand that if you have another person in your life, you have to make space for them. You have to prioritize them, because that's only fair. I'm not looking into sacrificing ever my goals, but I create goals which are with her together. You know, if I'm looking at my vision board right now, which is hanging on my wall, on the other side of my bed, I see 7 a bit more materialistic goals, and I see 2 which are including her. One of them is marrying in the Plaza in New York one day. And Plaza is the most prestigious hotel in the world with the most history. It's right at the Central Park. And the other pictures, like literally just like sitting at a window, laying in bed, looking out of it with your significant other. That's also my goals. And in order to achieve those goals, I have to be with my girl, and I have to communicate with my girl, you know? So therefore, I think there's a mix. But if you put it in a plural way, if you say goals before girls in plural, 100%. Like if you want to get somewhere and you're like being a Casanova, fucking around with different girls. I didn't say fuck. I'm just fucking around, which as in wasting your time with different girls. Like, yeah, that's a complete waste of time. That's completely stupid.
So do you see your girlfriend frequently, or?
I don't, because my girlfriend lives in London. I live in Germany, in Berlin. She lives in London, so we see each other approximately once per month. I haven't seen her in 2 months now, because she was in Thailand on holidays, and I'm flying to her next week Sunday.
Okay, and that works fine with you.
See, for me, it wouldn't work differently. Like that's why I'm saying goals before girls. I have my goals in order to achieve them. If I had a girlfriend here in Berlin that I would have to see every day, nah, that wouldn't work out. 100% not. I'm too ambitious. I do want to work too much in order for that to be realistic. You know, a person needs attention. A person needs love and affection. And if you're in the same town, it would be a physical kind of way. And I couldn't do that because I would have to sacrifice too much of my business time for that.
Yeah, and too much distraction and split energy, I guess. Huh?
Yeah, I mean, you have to be honest with yourself. Would I want that right now? No. Do I want it in the future? Yes.
You know, there was a great, tremendous live stream you did on June 30th. And I found it so good that I even took some notes from it. There's one point, actually 6 points there. Your happiness in life depends on your ability to handle this content.
Mm-hmm.
First of all, I think it's beautifully put. And
Thanks.
secondly, again, it's nail on the head, absolutely. So what drove you to make that statement?
See, I think, well, it comes from personal experience, you know, like I lived in a very bad neighborhood with my mom. Did I still find happiness? Yeah. Like I did it through being okay with the discontent. I was okay with us not having a lot of money, with us not being where I want to be one day, you know. It's extremely, I always say it's extremely happy if you like the sun, to be happy in the summer when you can go outside, just take a sun bath, tan, play basketball outside and all that. Like, what about the winter when it's cold outside, when it's dark? Can you still be happy? I think that's what it's about in life. Like, everybody can be happy when everything goes their way, but where the magic kicks in is to find happiness. And that's when we come back to gratitude. Can you appreciate the simple things in life? I appreciate my health. I appreciate the ability of being able to walk, talk, and breathe. I have a smart mind. I'm self-confident. I have good looks. You know, that makes me happy in life. I'm just thankful for those things. I don't care what happens on the outside. I could lose a client now, but I could still be grateful for that. And that's how I get happy in life, you know? Most people, they only get happy when certain things happen the way they want it to be. And that's where something comes in that Keenan taught me. And I think he got it from Tony Robbins, but I'm not sure. And he says, change expectation for appreciation.
Oh, yeah.
Again, change expectation for appreciation. When you stop expecting things from the world and you just appreciate the beautiful things that are coming in, it's so much easier to be happy in life. And that's what I'm saying. Your happiness in life depends on your ability to handle discontent. Can you smile when it's dark outside? Can you smile when somebody awful would happen to you? You know, I recently met a client of ours, Yvonne Schönau, and she's currently doing a podcast, and she told me about one of her guests, and this is incredible. Listen, this podcast guest, he woke up on his 20th birthday, and he went out for a birthday party, and he got drugged. So he had drugs in his drink. The next morning, he wakes up on his 20th birthday, and he's in hospital. He lost 2 legs and 1 arm that night, right? This is the most horrible thing you could ever imagine. And now his mindset is the following. He says, I'm grateful for it. And do you know why? He goes, if it went any other way, my life would have been boring. I now have a challenge to live. And this guy is so happy and so grateful in life, even though he's missing 2 legs and 1 arm. How did he achieve that? He was constantly doing grateful and mindless meditation before that incident happened, his whole life. And if you're able to get to that fucking stage, you made it in life. Because your happiness is so disconnected from external action, but your happiness is truly internally. That's when you can live a life and you can say, I'm truly happy. And that's what I'm constantly working towards. And that's what you should be working towards as well. If you make your happiness dependent on external actions and influences, you'll never get happy in life because you can't control your happiness.
100% true. Great. And what I want to encourage all the listeners here is this is a muscle. You can train this. It's actually one of these things where it matters. The daily routines matter. There's a saying that successful people do what they have to do, whether they feel like it or not. And I'm a very strong believer in routines. I know you are. I know Keenan is as well. And you can practice this every single day, even if you don't feel like it. But when you penetrate through and you do it, you still do it, then observe what happens when you feel good, when there's a day where you naturally wake up and say, well, okay, today I'm feeling good, then you will go stellar. So it's when you fill the valleys of despair, still with your morning routines and you persist and you stick with it, that's where magic will happen, definitely.
Totally agree with you.
Beautiful. So is there anything you want to add to that, Arian?
To that, actually not, no. I like that statement. I think we've perfectly clarified what it means.
Great. So people can find out about you on Avone Media, of course, avonemedia.com, and on your Instagram profile as well. Mm-hmm. Thank you for the time, man. It was a great hour we spent together. Beautiful talk to you, and I wish you the best day of your life, man.
Marcus, I really appreciate you and your time and the podcast. I think it went very well. You did a great job. Thank you for having me. Thank you for you yourself having a lot of clarity, which I could realize through the kind of questions you asked. A lot of applied knowledge, which is also amazing. So thank you so much for having me. I really appreciate it.
Beautiful. I'm looking forward to your next live stream. And man, I want to do a follow-up on this as well on the podcast. So let's keep in touch. Thank you for listening and have a great time. See you.
Too.
Bye-bye.
Bye.